Hey guys, just see if I'm live on YouTube as well. Hey guys, how's it going? It's your boy M.K.S here, back with another video, and welcome to the third and penultimate part of stuff I was talking about on Sunday, when unfortunately Celtic lost against St Mirren. I'm still kind of disappointed about that, and more so I'm worried for the future. But I've been I wasn't feeling too good when I didn't get my putting the rest of me out of bed till 1 o'clock, 1 p.m. and which I was late to feed the cat and that kind of thing. And I have been a bit under the weather. Wasn't feeling too good. Maybe I ate something that disagreed with me or whatever, as they say. But yeah, being a bit under the weather and tired, but also procrastinating quite a lot. Struggling to make decisions. I wanted to work on my paperwork and write my thoughts onto paper, plan things onto paper, but I didn't really write anything, which is a bit annoying for writing Wednesdays. And I've been struggling to decide what topics to cover. I think when I'm clearing my decisions, it's so much easier. But I thought I'd leave it open today to sort of plan things out, but to sort of take my time to decide what I wanted to do. But I've been sort of frustrated with myself for not deciding whether to write or to get my paperwork done, or to get my videos done like this, or whatever. But anyway, it is what it is. I'm planning to go to the gym in a couple of hours, to be honest, but before they close at 10 o'clock. I like to go at night, and I'm hoping it's more peaceful and quiet, but I'm hoping to have the energy to do a bit of weightlifting. Well, part of me can't be bothered really, but I guess I should push myself, and I had some Weetabix earlier, so I should be able to. But I should be able to do something. But yeah, I've got to burn off all the fat, I guess, and try and push myself for weights Wednesdays, working out and that kind of thing. But nice life story. But anyway, I want to talk about some of my concerns for the club, my frustrations about losing, and that kind of thing. My concerns about the manager, the direction of the club, and that kind of thing. And I know Peter Lawwell, who people call Peter Lywell, Peter paid well, or things like that, has left the club. So, I mean, the problem is, who does he get replaced with? Does he get replaced by another yes man, should I say? And I want to talk about that as well. But I think I just want to say, before I get into the list of ideas and pointers, number 21 today, I just want to say about Peter Lawwell. I think, or Lywell, or paid well, or whatever. I'd love to know what Celtic supporters think, and some might have different views about whether he did a better job than people are saying or whatever. But he did bring a lot of success. I suppose our competition hasn't been that great since the rankers got demoted, which helped quite a lot, thankfully. But yeah, I think that we should be grateful for at least some of the success he's brought, albeit our competition wasn't that great, but he still helped us to win so many trophies and things like that. I'm not sure how instrumental he was in that, but I think it's a little ungrateful and unfair to say he was all bad, and certainly to wish him bad. Like some people saying they wish him the worst and all that kind of thing. I certainly don't, but I suppose he probably could have done a better job anyway. I'm going to crack on to points number 21 to 30. So here goes. So number 21, I normally say 21 again, and I'm thinking, like, I hope we can get back to the success we had before. It's one of the things I was thinking about when I was thinking about covering the third part, but I didn't have enough content, so I thought I'd wait till today. I wanted to finish it all on Sunday, but I did struggle to get the energy, I guess, after getting defeated, and it makes you much more tired, especially having a long walk and things like that. But I think if we won, I would have had much more that I could talk about, which would have been easier probably. But I know people say you got to support the club through thick and thin if you're a proper support, which is true, I guess. But part of support, I think, is to be a bit critical. Like, sometimes you can be hard on yourself. Like when I make videos, I think, oh, could have done this better, could have said this better, could have remembered that, could have planned it a bit better, or whatever. Be more coherent or clear or whatever. And I think with the club as well, it's okay to be critical. It doesn't mean you don't support them. It's because you want them to do better. I think it's like if you have children. I don't want to lose any more here, but if you have children, I don't think it should be too harsh on them, but I think you could say that that they could be put more effort in life, or whatever it is. They could have a better attitude or whatever. Um, so I don't, like for instance, the manager. I wonder if he's the right man for the job. I really want him to succeed because he is a Celtic man. And some people talk about his background or whatever. So I think even some Celtic sports. I like to think most Celtic sports are anti-racist, but some have been. I think have been a bit racist in saying that. I think we should leave racism for the rankers, as I call them. In fact, one reason why Sports Celtic has a POC, as a person of colour, is because of the anti-imperialist stance, which we have to come to. But because I also wanted to cover reasons to support Celtic and that kind of thing. But I hope we can bring back the glory days, basically. And I think it's okay to be critical of things if you think they need to be improved. And that kind of thing. But I'm going to move on to point number 22, because I think I covered that point in enough detail. So point number 22, as I say, I think that moving on to the future, my concern is, I'm very disappointed about losing the final and losing two finals in a row, the last two finals we've been to. But my concern going on to the future, an ongoing concern, is like whether brother or bro for short, Wilfred, or however you pronounce his name, is good enough. I want him to do well because he's a Celtic man, and also because he's a black manager. I'd love to see more minorities, people doing well in management and that kind of thing. But at the same time, he's either the right fit for the job or not. I don't really think it's colour should matter. I was thinking I don't really care whether the manager is straight, gay, trans, male, female, identifies as a cat, identifies as male, identifies as female, or whatever background there is, whatever background they are. Like, I wouldn't think an Anglo-Indian, a fellow Anglo-Indian or Eurasian person, generally AI as I call it, those Anglo-Indians for sure. I don't think we should be the manager just because I don't think it should be a manager just because it's an Anglo-Indian guy, or like people talk about being woke. I don't think the manager should be a woman just because we say, oh, we want to revolutionise and show we're equal. We want to put a woman in charge. It should be the right person for the job. It doesn't really bother me if they're female or male or whatever, but or whatever colour they are. If they're purple, I'll probably be like, oh, that's weird. The first person to be purple or whatever, or I've never seen a person who's green or blue or whatever, but it wouldn't really bother me, although that would feel really weird, but it would only bother me like whether they can help us to win things and hopefully do so in an ethical way. And then secondary to that is being ethical and giving to charity and the personality and that kind of thing. And what did I think I was going to say? Sorry. So, playing good football. And it'd be good to see good managers of colour, whether that's black or Asian, Anglo-Indian like me, AIs, Eurasians or whatnot. And maybe we need to be trained to become good football or soccer managers. But I don't think we should just be given the role, even someone like a fellow AI, as I say, or Anglo-Indian, in other words, or Eurasian or mixed race person or whatever, should just be given the role, or a female or it doesn't. I'm not really into like trans, but stuff. But it wouldn't bother me if they were trans as long as they did a good job and winning trophies. And some of the things on that note that he's come up with really worry me. Like he said that winning isn't that important; it's more about the performance. He said about not winning trophies, but at Celtic it's really important. We try to win every domestic tournament at least that's available to us. For me personally, I don't care about Europe or international just yet, because then we've got to build on it. But if we can't even win domestically, then we're not going to be able to do well in Europe. So it's a bit pointless going into that, and we might as well get out of that and focus on the domestic games. But I'd love to know from my fellow Celtic supporters what you think. And the thing is, people want the board out, but who do we replace them with? And how do we know they're going to be better? So Peter Lowell's gone, again, right well, paid well, or whatever people want to call him. But who's going to come in? Are they going to be any better? Are they going to be a yes man? Are they going to be Dr. No and say no to everything? Are they going to be someone who puts money in or talks about the club putting money in or whatever? Are they going to listen to fans and talk to the fans and engage with the fans? Will they be any better, or will they be even worse, or whatever? So I think that's the thing we have to be careful about looking into the future. But I'm worried about whether Bro Walford is the right man for the job, right person for the job. Again, I wouldn't really care what background the manager is. It'd be good to see a black manager do well, but I think the main thing is, are they good enough? As I say, if an Anglo-Indian guy, an AI guy came into Celtic, I'd be like, oh, that's interesting. But I would be like, they're either good enough or they're not. Some people would be like, if we had a female manager, they might go, oh, don't want a woman to be our manager. So it might be like, I don't want some of a certain background being our manager or whatever. But to me, it's just a winning mentality. That's what I think we need at Celtic. Similar to what I'd want for Italian football, which is one thing I'd love to have covered today as well. But I sort of didn't get organised enough to make a decision. I was very indecisive today, which I've peed myself off. I did say in part one that I'll probably include a lot of swearing, and I might do in this one, so it might not be for people who don't like swearing, although I welcome views. I just don't want to offend people. But yeah, for goodness sake. But move it. Yeah. So who does a board? Who does a board replace? Who could replace the board, and are they going to do a better job? And I'd love to know other Celtic sports opinions. Hopefully politely, but I'd say I think it would be great to see a black manager do well. I think it would be good to see Asian managers do well, female managers or whatever other background. But I suppose they're either good enough or not, and they're going to put money in or not. So, like when it comes to, before I move on to point number 23, in fact, I might say some point number 23. So, point number 23, a lot of Celtic supporters say they don't want wealthy owners, rich owners, and all that kind of. I've talked about that before. But the dilemma for me is, as I mentioned before, so sorry to repeat myself as usual from other videos, but just to say, like, I think the supporters got to be clear on what they want. Like, I think it's important they engage with their supporters, but I think if owners, and I suppose they can't really come out and say, oh yeah, in 5 years time, 5 or 10 years time, we're going to win a Champions League, we're going to compete in Europe, win Champions Leagues and all sorts, in World Club Cups, or at least compete for them. We're going to be known around the world and really do loads of great stuff and bringing in managers and play attacking football. And then I suppose they can promise that, but it's where they can deliver. So I suppose there is got to be a balance. So if like the Qatari, like Qatar Sports Investment and City Group, who own Man City, apparently we have an informal friendship with them or formal relationship or whatever. And apparently that's why we've had some of the players or whatever. But yeah, I suppose I think the Celtic fans, supporters, or whatever you want to call us, between us have got to decide, like, and it's difficult because different people have got different views, so you can't please everyone perhaps, but I think there should be opinion polls just to get the average or the majority of the opinions. So I think it's, I'd say going on to the future, I'm really worried about whether Hearts are going to win the league. Rangers could catch us up, as Rod Stewart said, one of the famous Celtic sports. And especially if Rangers or whoever else gets their act together and spends lots of money. I'm hoping, because there's a court case with Tony Bloom, I think, who is invested in Hearts. So I'm hoping that can derail Hearts a bit, but it just depends on whether we're going to be able to capitalise. Like, a part of me thinks, I talked about a new manager for a new month, and I was hoping Bro Walford would be really good and coming in December. Maybe we should have waited till New Year, and then New Year and a new month and a new manager at the same time. But I'm thinking, like, if he doesn't win at least 2 or preferably 3, preferably all 4, of course, of his next 4 games, that we should probably have a new manager ready. In fact, maybe the club should be looking at a new manager just in case. And if he does turn around, obviously we can save that manager, so we don't need yourselves anymore. But I think for a new year, ready for the Rankers game, we probably should have a new manager already in. Although I suppose if we change the manager on New Year's Day, it could go really wrong, because it wouldn't give him much time to, I assume it'd be a male, but it wouldn't give them much time to prepare for the Rankers game on the 3rd of January, I think it is. And also, it would be just in the dark for that game where we have to be prepared. And also on New Year's Day, obviously people are thinking about celebrations and different things and all that kind of things. It would be hard to get that ready, but it would make some sense. But I also wonder what Celtic supporters think of my ideas for, like, it comes a bit, I think the idea probably came from that match defined for Palestine, where I think, if I got it right, Celtic supporters, what Celtic as a club was fined, and the supporters matched that fine, and in fact even doubled it, I think, to raise money for people in Palestine, because the club got fined for allowing supporters to wave the flag in Israel or something like that in a game against Maccabi Tel Aviv or someone. But I think that might be where I came up with the idea, so to think of like match please match the, to put it extra politely, please match the charitable donations that the club gives. So like, again, and I've talked about this before, but like, so if Celtic give 100 million to charity, I'd love for like thousands of sponsors to say, yeah, we'll match whatever you give to charity, we'll match that as part of our PR. Obviously, they don't want something in return, but companies with huge pockets like Apple, Amazon, Alibaba, Microsoft, IBM, not just ones of they, Nvidia, the PIF, Public Investment Fund, BlackRock, even maybe Bridgewater, Blackstone, Vanguard, Schwab Corp, Cascade Investments, Berkshire Hathaway, Bridgewater, I was going to say Bridgewater or whatever. So basically, those with big pockets, organisations with big pockets could say, like, so we give money to like help tech development in Africa or help projects that help people in India or things like that. They would come to match those what we give to charity, hopefully. But yeah, the more investors, the more sponsors that would do that, rather to sponsor what we invest, the better. And at the same time, I mentioned before, the club would benefit by having that extra money. It could be billions. But I suppose there are rules with the FFP that we might not be able to invest that much or spend that much. But I'd love for FIFA to say, FIFA and UEFA to say, because you have promoted the beautiful game and you've done lots of good stuff for good causes, football for good and that kind of thing, we're going to allow you to spend this money and that will help you break past FFP legally, most importantly. Supposedly those rules exist because like clubs spend more than like live outside their means, and then when investors pull out, they lose that money. Whereas I guess this matching what we give to charity would hopefully mean that we would be able to continue that sort of thing. I mean, hopefully, especially if so many sponsors sponsor it. I hope there's sort of loopholes where we could do that. So could you imagine Celtic Sports if we had billions to invest? I'd love that. But and at the same time, like, people might say, well, it's only football, like it's a first world problem. What about the charitable giving? Because some people say like about we forget that it's started as a charity, but at the same time, I say the club would benefit, and I must say also charities we support would benefit. But yeah, I'd love to know what people think about that. I know you might say it's a bonkers idea, but if it works, I guess it works. It'd be pretty cool. So yeah, so imagine if you would, like, if we gave, I don't know how much prize money we've won over time, and like 10% of our revenue or whatever. And I dream for us to get tax cuts and all that kind of thing, which I hope to talk about. But moving on, number 24. I mean, I'd love for these things to happen in the future, but I forgot to say point number 22, I guess. I guess we've got to take it bit by bit. So even if we got this investment in the future, it's still very disappointing that we've lost 2 finals in a row. We could have been on 122 trophies, but we're stuck on 120. So that's a bit frustrating, although we're still ahead of the rankers. But I think if we get complacent and we don't try and push to win more and get further ahead and be like outside, then we run a risk that if the rankers do get lots of investment, heaven forbid, or even like now Hearts, although at least Hearts are no sort of competition in terms of the overall trophy haul, which is what I look at. I don't know about my fellow Celtic supporters, but I guess the next best thing to us winning it would be another team winning it rather than the rankers, because we'd still hopefully stay ahead of them in the trophy haul, which is what I think is really important. But if we get complacent and rest on our laurels, then it could be that they catch us up and even, heaven forbid, overtake us, which would obviously be even worse. But also, wouldn't it be great, any Celtic sport out there, if you think about it, if we had so many great players and played some great football and that kind of thing. I think the most important thing is to win now and then build on that and then focus on domestic games. And then we can build on that and then compete in Europe and then have some great European nights. But again, I'd love to know what my fellow Celtic supporters think. Also, I think of like, it's a Wednesday and the number 24, I think of like 24 hours in a day. For some reason, that makes me think of national days and like countries by their independence, but it makes me think of being global for some reason. But worldwide, globally, internationally, however you want to put it. I'd love to see Celtic have as many supporters as possible around the world. And again, if we give so much money away to charity, that could encourage like neutrals and others to start supporting Celtic, at least as a second club, if not as a first club. Maybe even people who are not into football to support us. I'd love for people from Ireland and also those of an Irish descent, like Kevin O'Leary, to invest in us. Off the top of my head, I can't really think of any others, but I'm sure there's some other wealthy business people of Irish descent, either of Irish and Lebanese descent, from the Shark Tank. But obviously, he's also got successful businesses. But moving on, number 25, one reason to support Celtic, in my view, is that they support, I was going to say it's a republic, but though they're based in Britain, a club from Scotland of Irish descent, so people of Irish descent around the world, I think, should support the club, but also they support republics. And as a supporter of republics, that's one reason why I support Celtic. Number 26, I also support them as an anti-imperialist. And I'd love for the club to get reparations for the harsh treatment of Irish people historically, including those, especially those who came to Britain. So discrimination happened in Scotland and specifically, especially in Glasgow in particular. And I suppose maybe Celtic and the Hibs could work together, as well as others with Irish descent and Irish communities and that kind of thing. Reparations could be given to the Irish community, perhaps, just like for the black community and others. There could be an argument for that, which I'd love to see. And in Celtic's case, it could go to, in the Irish community's case in Glasgow, most Irish people, as far as I'm aware, support Celtic, especially in Glasgow. I think maybe Celtic and the Hibs could work together for that, given the Irish roots and that kind of thing. But also tax exemptions could be a form of reparations as well, which brings me on to point number 27. As I say, I'd love for the club to pay zero tax. I don't know why I do this, but that means a zero. I don't know why I do that sign. It's not a noisy thing or anything, but I'd love for Celtic to pay zero tax, which would be quite fitting given what our rivals got in trouble for. But I'd love for them to do it legally. That's supposed to be an helpful legally, or the Dyslexic version. But I'd love for Celtic to be legally tax exempt, or at least to pay the lowest amount of taxes possible, again legally, in return for the charitable work the club does and as a form of reparations, which I just talked about, and that kind of thing. But again, and going back to what I said in point number 23, I think of point number 27 as like rewards. So I'm talking about the walk and Hall of Fame, award shows, award ceremonies, and that kind of, which the club already has, but I think it could expand to, like, say, those who invest in the club, those who support youth development for the club, those who promote the club's brand around the world, and all sorts of things like that. So there could be different rewards. I'd love to know what you think the club should reward. As I say, Peter Lowell resigning for whatever reason, I think he claims he got a lot of online abuse, which I disagree with. I think we should still be thankful for at least the good things he did, but maybe some fellow Celtic supporters don't agree with. But what I said in point number 23, I thought would be quite fitting for point number 27 as well. So, like, matching what we give to charity. So if as many organisations did that as possible, some might match it 100%, and some might match it as much as they can. Or maybe, I suppose I won't be matching it, but maybe they could reward it. I suppose that could be another way of looking at it. So please reward what we give to charity. But that might, so for instance, if they had to match it, that might put a lot of organisations and investors off, potential sponsors off, because they might think, oh, if Celtic gives 100 million and we match it, we would have to give 100 million ourselves, but we can only afford to give 50 million or 20 million or 10 million even, or 5 million or whatever. But it could be like reward the club for what it gives to charity. So I hope the club will be rewarded through extra investment and especially sponsorship, and even donations perhaps, and also through having more supporters all around the world who say they'll support Celtic, if not as a first team, at least as a second favourite team, because of the charitable work the club does, supporting people locally, regionally, nationally, and internationally, worldwide, in places like India, supporting Indian businesses, supporting those in poor backgrounds in India and Kenya and around the world, and that kind of thing. ICT for Africa, IT for Africa, tech for Africa, basically, and that kind of thing, and helping AI development, robotics, app building, and that kind of thing across Asia and Africa. Why not, I guess. And again, like having award shows and honouring and acknowledging, appreciating basically those who do good for the club and benefit the club and that kind of thing. Number 28, I hope we can turn this negative situation around. Basically from a negative to a positive. I hope the manager can turn it around. I really want to see him do well. Whoever manages Celtic, I want to see him do well, especially when they're from a minority. But whoever would manage Celtic, I would wish to do well, at least for Celtic itself. And I guess their character or their background would be, the character and stroke or background would probably be secondary to helping the club to win, especially if we gave like our winnings to charity and revenue to charity and that kind of thing. Therefore, the more money the club has, more money the club has itself, the more the club can benefit, but also it could benefit others as well. And again, giving to charity hopefully even more than we already do would hopefully mean we'd have more support. So I'd love for us to be able to give 10% of our revenue to charity and therefore be tax exempt, and to be able to give all our prize money to charity ASAP to help things like, say, African countries in Asia, especially India, to develop, help people in Malaysia, India, Indonesia, South Africa, Singapore, and around the world as well, I would say worldwide. Think about it being Wednesday as well. And I'd love for the club to have world-class facilities. I've just remembered something I forgot to say in point number 21, typical. But moving on, number 29, I'd love to encourage my fellow mutts, X-race people, in other words, Anglo-Indians, Eurasians, and other mutts, to support Celtic, and also to see what Dyslexic and other non-diverse people can do to benefit Celtic, which I talked about recently and in November as well. And I hope to talk more about that in the coming year, next year basically, in October, November and December respectively. And number 30, I hope this makes sense, but I had these storylines I was a bit shy to talk about. Anyway, I don't know if I should say them, but and I didn't want to be too crude, but I thought I'd put a trigger warning for like maybe a bit peed off and might use swear words, but I was thinking of storylines about, well, since I'm talking about Celtic, I might talk about that first, but or maybe I'll say the Italian football stuff first, but I imagine like if the storylines about certain types of movies where I imagine like, again, I probably shouldn't say this, but too much info away, but I really wanted to write those notes today, but I didn't get around to it, but maybe I could do so later and think through the ideas in the gym. I suppose I overthink rather than get them onto paper or whatever, but ones where like people found Italian women attractive, like say straight guys, lesbians, bisexual guys, bisexual women, and even they convert, like storylines about them converting straight women, or whatever, like fantasies, or even converting gay men. Controversial thing like a cure for gay men. That's a really controversial one. I know that would offend some people, so please leave me. Another one I shouldn't have said, but another one of those things I shouldn't have said. But also like people fancying Italian guys, like gay guys, bisexual guys, and straight and bisexual women, and then also then converting lesbians and like straight men. Like I don't know how much to go into this storyline, but I think I'll leave those for the notebooks. But I saw my dad's mate's a Leeds fan. My dad's mate is a Leeds fan, and there's like a sort of, you could probably say it's a meme, and where it's like a Leeds supporter peeing on the. I did say I was going to. I might go to, but yeah, we'll just say peeing on a Man United kit or whatever. And I thought of the same for like Celtic peeing on the like Rangers kit or Rangers fan, or even pooing on stuff like that. I hope that makes sense. But yeah, just imagine if you could go that far. And also like Celtic converting Rangers fans, like again, think of certain movies where like Lana Wolf, who's a Rangers supporter, like imagine if the Celtic, a Celt could get to screw her. I did say I was going to use a bit dirty language, but get to screw her and convert her to be a Celtic supporter. Anyway, I better wrap this up, and I'm out. Peace and love.